back to the channel and welcome to the best way to start off the week here with our Q&A live stream, our Monday night gab, where we catch up on all things Celtic and who knows, maybe some other shenanigans. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back in routine. I say that in like a couple of weeks' time we're going to have to move it because I'm busy 3 Mondays in a row with Monday Night Raw. However, nonetheless, we're here Monday night tonight and that's what matters most. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be catching up with you all. The chat is already piling up. We already have over 100 live viewers as well, so I'm excited for this one tonight because it feels like ages. I know we've done the kind of pre-match live stream last week before the Aberdeen game, but you know, it felt like a bit different because it was a pre-match stream and because we had the line-up and stuff to discuss. Tonight it's just back to the usual, isn't it? So I am glad to be here. I'm nice to see you. That's all I can say. How are we all? How are we doing? It's good to see you. Nice to see Ballingry Boy, who's now been a member for 6 months. That's fantastic here from the start tonight. Good on you, son. Nice to see you. John O'Neill, how good was Yang? I mean, he was brilliant, wasn't he? I'm sure we'll probably get to covering him on this stream as well. And a lot of other ones piling in. Good evening, everybody. Paul, thank you. I'm very well. Nice to see you. Mackenzie, annoying that Cena isn't on Raw for the next few weeks. Well, I'll be there when he is there, so that's all that matters to me. Listen, we have approached now that stage of the season. We're here in March, where things start to slow down. We are taking the kind of final steps towards the trophy, the title, the season being done in general. It's like the final 100 metres of a 2,000 metre run. And we're basically finishing up. You know, we don't have a lot of football left to play. In fact, when you look at the league table, we only have, 4 games left to play before the split now. We, of course, have a Scottish Cup quarter-final fixture against Hibs this weekend. We're back to playing 1 game a week, which is fantastic for the squad, fantastic for the players. Of course, they've been busting a gut for weeks now with Champions League football. Of course, the Champions League football, which is now spawning across more months than it originally did. Getting through to that playoff round against Bayern Munich as well. So the football's slowing down for them, which is great. Not so great for the channel because there's not too much to talk about. And we just, you know, it's nice to see that happen. Brendan Rodgers has already spoke about how it's now time for the squad, the team, to take it to the next level and step up after this wee rest that they'll get through the week. And it's right. I mean, listen, I think we've seen evidence so many times in the past few domestic games where Celtic maybe have showed signs of fatigue and they've showed signs of a side that is off the back of constant football and just needing that rest. You know, we've seen Callum McGregor, for talking sake, who went off the pitch on Saturday there. How often do we see Callum McGregor go off early? How often do we see Callum McGregor subbed off the park? Brendan Rodgers confirmed it was just precautionary more than anything. He felt something in his calf and decided to bring him off instead of risking anything. I'm sure he'll be back at the weekend. He'll be fine. But that says it all. You know, we never see McGregor struggle with issues like that. But we've been playing so much football. St Mirren, we weren't at our best. I don't even think against Aberdeen we were at our best. Of course, Hibs got the best of us by winning the game last weekend. So we have been playing so much football, and it's natural that it catches up on the players. They're not robots at the end of the day, and I know their job is professional football. They're training 5 days a week and they should be able to last 90 minutes, but the physical toll it takes, the intensity that they're playing at, you know, this isn't Sunday League stuff. And despite Celtic sometimes make it look like Sunday League stuff when you're beating Aberdeen 5-1, when you're beating St Mirren 5-2, you know, you can see the evidence that the rest is needed. So I think this wee break coming up for Celtic, this wee run of games where we do have a less busy, a lesser schedule, I should say, will be massive. And Rodgers has obviously attested to that after the game on Saturday in his post-match comments. So yeah, a big week coming up for us. Hibs at the weekend, they're the team to beat them. And I mean, what's that now? 15 games or something without losing. They've not lost since Celtic beat them in early December. And who would have thought we'd have been saying that when you look at the start of the season Hibs had. So this weekend will be tough in the Cup. They're bringing a fantastic crowd to Celtic Park. I've got a lot of tickets. It'll be a bouncy away end. It'll be the biggest away end we've seen at Celtic Park all season. I think across any competition. So they're right up for it, and I know it's at Celtic Park and we should be winning. We've got a treble in our sights, in our grasp, you could say. But you've got to beat Hibs. I think they're the team to beat at the minute, and they make life difficult. They made life difficult for us at Easter Road, literally last weekend. So it's never going to be a walk in the park. But we'll see what happens. Celtic will raise the game, I think, for this cup fixture, and of course with the extra few days rest, it'll do us the world of good. Thank you to Rory Boy, who's been a member for 5 months, saying Schlup Machine 5000. Okay. Matthew, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Both of you are absolute legends. In terms of news tonight coming into this, we don't have an awful lot to talk about, but I think one of the things we should talk about is the reported interest in Alistair Johnston heading into this summer transfer window. We'll probably cover this in more depth in tomorrow's video to see if anything else comes from it. I'll do my usual and text one person that might have information, but there is gossip flying around via David Ornstein of The Athletic that Fulham and Ipswich will step up their chase for Alistair Johnston this summer, and apparently there is interest from Inter Milan as well. That's one of the other ones who are like floating around and looking at the possibility, but that I don't think that story's got as much credibility in it. That's coming from some Inter fan sites, I believe. However, David Ornstein of The Athletic, very, very, very reliable source. This is a huge test for Celtic, I think, this summer. We will be fighting to keep some of our players. And I love Alistair Johnston. I think Alistair Johnston is somebody who is one of the best fullbacks I've seen at Celtic in my lifetime. I think he's been a massive asset to us, and he's just unbelievable. I don't want to lose him. Fulham and Ipswich, though. Right, number one, Ipswich are probably going to go down, so I don't think we need to worry about that too much. Ipswich are probably going to go down. But what I do think it speaks to is the fact there will be interested parties. Fulham are a good side this season. Marco Silva, a fantastic coach, done a cracking job with Fulham, and their season's not over. They've got a lot to fight for. I think they're still in the FA Cup as well, so European football is still on the cards, I think, for Fulham this season, technically. So, in fact, I don't think they're still in the Cup. They are. They beat Man United in bloody penalties. So, Fulham have still got a lot on the line this season. They could be in Europe next year, who knows. They are a good side at the minute. But Celtic should not be. This is where we need to put our foot down now, and this is where we need to be the big boys. This is where Celtic need to go. Fulham, we're not selling our best players to Fulham. If Brendan Rodgers is wanted to take this side to the next level, and if the board back that vision and want to agree and share that vision, we shouldn't be selling our players to Fulham, no matter if they offer us 20 or 30 million pounds. We should be able to put a deal on the table that goes to Alistair Johnston, stay here, you play Champions League football, you win more trophies, and if a bigger move comes up, we'll obviously discuss that with you. This is where Celtic need to pull up the big boy trousers. So, I don't know where this will go. It's the 1st of March, for goodness sake. Oh, well, this came out on the 1st of March, actually, which was Saturday post-game. It's now the 3rd of March. It's far too early to be getting caught up in any of these sort of stories. We're going to see players linked with clubs throughout this month. It's natural for that to happen because things dry up. Listen, I'm talking about how things dry up for the YouTube channel and how without all these games I don't have a whole lot of content to make. How do you think the papers feel? How do you think these outlets feel where they rely on these quicks to get their advertising and to get their papers sold? They need stories like this. So yeah, there might be truth in it, and I don't doubt that David Ornstein is reporting a story which does have truth to it, but I think from between now and the Scottish Cup final, as Celtic get there, which could be the curtain call for the season, you've just got to take everything with a pinch of salt. But Celtic can't be losing players to Ipswich, to Fulham, when they're trying to become a serious Champions League competing team. Alistair Johnston, I think, would be very hard-pressed to find a right-back better than him with such short notice. I think we'd just be hard-pressed to find a better right-back in general, because for our level, where we are, Alistair Johnston, I think, is one of the best we can get. And I don't want to be in that situation when we're talking about replacing him. So that story is doing the rounds. You will probably see that pop up over the next couple of days, but I wouldn't worry about anything too much as of now. On that note, can I just say something that I've not said in this channel? I feel like it's something I've wanted to say for ages. We need to stop this whole next Celtic captain patter. Alistair Johnston is not the next Celtic captain. Sorry to burst any of your bubbles. He's not. Kieran Tierney is evidently going to be the next Celtic captain. It's going to be Kieran Tierney. So there's no point in going on about Johnson, next Celtic captain. It ain't going to happen. When Callum McGregor moves on, when he retires or whatever, Kieran Tierney's going to be early 30s and he will be taking the armband if he's still playing for Celtic.
So, and the other thing about Johnson, next Celtic captain, the other thing I don't get about that is, like, why does everybody think that Alistair Johnson's going to be here when Callum McGregor's done? Callum McGregor's still got another, I would say at least 2 seasons starting for Celtic. Alistair Johnson, if he's here in 3 years' time, or even 2 years' time, I will be absolutely stunned. So this whole next captain battle, there's no. Listen, I appreciate the sentiment of it all. I love Johnson. I'd love to see him wear the armband for Celtic, but it just, let's calm down a little bit on it because I don't think it's going to happen. We're hearing interest already. Big teams will be looking at Johnson. He goes and has another good World Cup or a good international tournament or play well in Europe for Celtic. Teams will be floating about his name. I mean, if there's any truth in the Inter Milan stuff, you're already seeing it. Big teams will like. Anyway, I think we can basically skip to the Q&A in terms of like news and anything like that. Of course, there was the news about Celtic playing in Ireland in the summer. We had the new Adidas kit range launched this morning, which is an absolute travesty. 90 quid for a white t-shirt and £130 for some bomber jacket, which I wouldn't wear anywhere near Celtic Park. Don't know what's going on there. Adidas are taking the piss quite a bit. Not looking forward to seeing the prices once we're an elite club next year. That's going to be something. The only other thing that I've seen pop up today is that Kyogo has apparently been tipped for a Rennes exit already following a disastrous start to life at the French side. He's only made 2 appearances since signing. He's been an unused sub in the last 2 games. And he's been tipped for an exit, and it looks as though he could be going towards an exit unless he's given chances sometime soon. It's one of those ones that people will be quick to jump and say, oh, the grass isn't greener. I don't fault Kyogo for wanting to leave. There was actually a very honest interview with Kyogo where he said he was depressed at Celtic because he kept getting left out the Japanese national team. And I don't fault him for wanting to leave. I don't think it's fair that Kyogo takes any stick for wanting to leave if he wants in that Japanese national team. The situation that has came about at Rennes is unfortunate for the boy. He was signed by a manager who really wanted him. The manager was sacked days later. So he's been left in this kind of whirlwind, in this situation where his future there is just up for... He was well within his rights to ask for a move. So who knows? Maybe in the summer we'll see a Jota type situation. Maybe Kyogo will be allowed to move back to the club. But I think that chapter's firmly over. But 83 minutes he's played since moving to Rennes. It's been an absolute calamity for him since going. Will he be regretting leaving Celtic? Part of him probably will be. But he made his bed. He has to lie in it. And listen, I can't help but reiterate, I think he was well within his rights to ask for that move and to go. Rennes is a club that will pay him a good bit of money, big club in terms of French standards. And if he thinks it was going to get him in the Japanese national team, then fair play to him. But here we are. So apart from that, quite a quiet news day. Let's get on to your questions, shall we? Whatever it's about, whether it's Hibs at the weekend, this extended break that Celtic have with no midweek fixture, whether it's about Alistair Johnson, whether it's about anything at all, I want to get your questions. I want to have any sort of conversation. There's Nathan. How you doing, Nathan? Not having an argument on Twitter is news, right? Well, listen, you know my point of view. Can't believe you clipped me. That's the first time I've been clipped in like 4 years. And it was for saying that I think Brendan Rodgers the GOAT. And I'll stand by it, right? I'll stand fucking by it. I say it with my chest. What are we all thinking, eh? Rodgers better than Guardiola? Not for me to say, but yes, of course. Do you think that Yang should get a start in the next game or the game after? We spoke about this in yesterday's video, actually. And I put that in. We've got to talk about Yang. We've got to talk about how good he's been, the improvement we've seen of him. Is it down to his girlfriend being over from South Korea? Probably so. No, I'm joking. All jokes aside for a moment. I think that Celtic are in a situation where they have really unearthed some talent in Yang that a lot of people didn't see, that I didn't see in Yang. And I'm so glad that they have. I'm glad they've unearthed that talent. It's now about nurturing that and giving him these opportunities to continue and have that confidence flow. I don't think he's... Yeah, of course, I think he's in line for a start. As I said last night in the video that I'd done, and I wasn't clipped for this part, but what I said was, we don't need to be reactionary about it in the sense of we go, oh, fucking get Kuhn out the team. You know, Kuhn's been brilliant. He's had an unbelievable season. For a winger at Celtic, it's one of the best seasons I've actually seen. So we don't need to bin off Kuhn and suddenly go, he doesn't deserve a start. But one of the key things to do in football is reward those in the best form. And right now, Yang is in some of the best form at the club. I wouldn't start him against Hibs at the weekend,
call it controversial. It's too big a game to be taking chances, and he's been doing so well as an impact player that I would keep him as an impact player. But we're moving, after this Scottish Cup game, we're into a portion of the season where the league games are pretty decent. I think he'll get a couple of starts. Rangers take that game out of the equation. After that, I think he'll get a couple of starts. But Hibs and Rangers, I don't see Rodgers dropping Kuhn, and neither he should, because Kuhn is a level above. I know that his goals and assists, the numbers might not say that in recent weeks, but he is a level above. And I think you've got to acknowledge that. So, yeah, of course he's deserving of starts coming up, but I think it won't be till after the Rangers game. That's my kind of final answer. Yeah, I think the Maida will stay at the club, hopefully. I mean, it's too early to tell. We don't know who will apparently be interested. So we'll wait and see. Is Telio due back in the summer? I think he is. I think he's back in the summer. Summer or December. But I think it's summer. I think it's summer. Listen, does it matter? Let's be real. Sorry, Marco, but I mean, just being honest with it. Get your questions in, ladies and gents. It will be very much appreciated. And Jordan Boyle, in terms of refereeing, should we introduce a point-style system where refs are rewarded or punished based on correct or incorrect key decisions? Listen, I get where you're coming from. Something has to be done about all the... I mean, we've seen St Mirren getting robbed of a potential penalty at the weekend. I didn't even address it in my video yesterday. It just kind of went right by me. I forgot to bring it up. St Mirren were potentially robbed of a penalty at the weekend. Referees already have enough pressure on them. And I know they're terrible at their job, but I don't think it would make their job any better. In fact, I think it would make their game worse. Why do I say that? Because they were given VAR. They were given something that was meant to alleviate pressure from them, and they got worse. So if you suddenly add pressure to them, it's just going to get worse. I don't know what the fix is, Jordan, for referees to stop making these mistakes. Mistakes are part of the game. Mistakes will always be part of the game. In Scotland, we just see them more often than not. But I don't think that's the way to go about it. I don't know what is, but I just don't think it's that. In my opinion. Let's see, what else have we got? Kuhn is very high quality and is great at cutting inside from the wing. Some of the other components of his game are hopefully getting worked on with the coaches. Still 100% are starting right winger. I agree, 100%. Nobody in this team is the finished article. You know, everybody can get better, and especially with the coaching, the coaches that we've got, you know. Do you ever be invited on other Celtic platforms? Something you'd do? I'm curious. Yeah, I've been on Hamish's channel a few times. I've appeared on some other guys' channels. I keep myself to myself a lot, and that's not. I spoke about this in the member streams. If members will know my reasoning for this, it's just there's a lot of reasons for it. But I have good friends. Hamish is one of them. Great friend. I love Hamish, and anytime he invites me on, I'm more than happy. And the same with other guys that I know. You know, there's some great wee podcasts out there that deserve more attention and stuff like that. And when folk ask, I'll always try my best if I know them well enough. Let's see. Ryan Yang has shown great signs in training. I think he's buffed up and ready to rock. Well, hopefully so. One thing that was brought up to me the other day was, and this is interesting, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat that has any kind of light to shed on this, but Yang and the South Korean military situation, I think he still needs to complete his mandatory military exercise, whatever they call it. And I don't know how that's going to work. Now, I know that there's exceptions sometimes, but I don't think they give exceptions to people unless it's like, you know, yeah, I don't think Yang meets the criteria. You know, I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. So it's not something that we need to worry about right now, this minute. But it was something that was brought up to me the other day, and I was like, that's a good point, because I don't think he's done his time. So we'll wait and see. Because I remember I think it's like the last Asia Cup. It doesn't matter if you live there or not. You're a South Korean citizen. It doesn't matter if you live there. That's the way they go about it, I think. So this is, yeah. So I remember that's right. Son had to win the Asian Cup to get out of it. I couldn't remember what Asia Cup it was. That's the story I was literally about to bring up. So it's going to come up at some point. I don't know when. I don't know what age it needs to be done by or anything like that. It's not my area of expertise. Celtic have had very little South Korean players in our existence, and when we have, I think they've been older. So like Ki Sung Young, I come back to him. I think he'd already completed it by the time he came to Celtic. So it's just it's an interesting point to think about, but it's not something that we need to really worry about right now. Thank you, Paul, for being a member for 3 months. Nice hat, mate. Appreciate it. Go Birds. Let's see, let's get some other questions. A £2 donation from CKND. Thank you for the donation, mate. My birthday's the 16th. I hope we batter them. I hope we battle them too, and happy early birthday. It's also my birthday soon. It's not on the same day though. It's a wee bit earlier. I'm the 11th, but happy early birthday, mate, and thank you for the donation. I really do appreciate it. So people giving us, so Mackenzie saying that you have to be 28, it has to be finished by. Ross saying you need to be it has to be 18 months, and you have to be between 18 and 28. So yeah, I don't know if that's something that they can do in phases. So if you could go and do it during the summer, come back, and then do it the following summer, come back. As I said, it's something that we really don't need to worry about right now. It'll come up when it comes up, and I'm sure that Dermot Desmond will be trying his best. Maybe not Dermot Desmond, but I'm sure the Celtic will be trying their best to delay it as long as possible. But we'll see what happens. Do you reckon we'll sign the boy from Bratislava in the summer? Should we be worried about Ida's form and the fact we likely won't get our money back the way he's playing at the minute? I'm not concerned about Celtic getting their money back over Adam Ida because, number one, I think he'll come good. I think that he showed signs of being good this season. He just went through a decent run of form and it's kind of tailed off a wee bit. I'm a big Adam Ida fan. I think that he'll turn it round. And at the end of the day, the money doesn't go into my bank account. So, he's on a 5-year contract. We'll get £9 million worth out of him over the course of 5 years. I'm very confident of that. Quote me on that if you like. Cut me. In 5 years' time, you can show me it. But I don't know about the boy from Bratislava, mostly because I think that was more of a panic situation for Celtic when Kyogo left, they needed a striker, and maybe he was the only one that they could think they realistically thought they could land. I don't think he'll sign in the summer. I think Celtic are still very much after Matthias Kvistgaarden, if that can happen. And I think there's a list of options at the club that maybe they would go for ahead of the Bratislava striker. So, I don't know. Once again, far too early. It's the 3rd of March. I think we'll know in a couple of months' time. I think the picture will start to paint itself in terms of what Celtic want and what Celtic will try and go for. God almighty. Sorry, I'm a wee bit phlegmy. I think I've got another cold coming on, which is not ideal. Do you think that Greg Taylor could still do a U-turn and sign a new deal now that his baby girl is here? He might want to stay in Scotland. I don't see him staying on with Celtic. And I think he could do a U-turn. He might not go to Zagreb, but it doesn't count off any moves down south, anything like that. I can still see an English Championship side or lower. I don't see him going to a Premier League side. I could see him going down south though. I could see him going anywhere. And I think, to be fair, he's saying that his baby girl's here and all the rest of it. I'm not a parent. Right, I'm nowhere near in the situation of having children, and I don't understand it because I'm not a father. But I don't know. Is it maybe easier at this point for him to go abroad? That he doesn't have to worry about sending his child to school? Is it better doing it in the infant stage of life when you don't have school or nursery? He could go to Zagreb for 2 or 3 years and come back before his child has to start school. I don't know. I'm not a father. I don't know what the priority is. Listen, that's a Greg Taylor question, not a Ryan Fitzsimons question, but I don't think he'll be at Celtic next season. I don't think that he will be. I'd be stunned if Greg Taylor stays here next season. There was a point in the season where I thought it might have happened. And it's March. Surely you sign a contract by now if things happen. Let's see. Alan Lee Schlupp at CDM and have Montgomery learning under KT. God almighty, thank God you're not the manager. Podcast will probably be Friday maybe. Let's see. Do you think that we'll have Tierney and Schluppdog next season? Schluppdog, what a name that is. I think we might. I don't know Jeffrey Schlupp personally, but it all comes down to what he wants to do. If Celtic want to sign him permanently, like Jeffrey Schlupp in a free contract this summer, it's going to be on the understanding that Celtic are signing Kieran Tierney and that he will be the starting left back. Does Jeffrey Schlupp want to be a backup left back? I don't know, because I don't know Jeffrey Schlupp. But if we had the both of them, it would be tremendous quality in that area. And I think it would be really, really handy considering, Kieran Tierney is not obviously blessed with great fitness, and injury issues have been a big part of his career. So to have someone of such a high quality, Jeffrey Schlupp, to step in when he needs to, that would be the perfect situation. So I hope we throw every penny we can afford to throw at it. But once again, too early to tell. A lot of the transfer-related stuff are too early to tell. Nice to see you, Adam. Why is your icon a different colour? If you've been a member for a certain amount of time, it goes up. I need to change them. It's just standing ones just now. But essentially it goes from the normal logo to like emerald, from emerald to bronze, from bronze to silver, from silver to gold. And yeah, and the top one is like, I don't know, Brendan Rodgers' face or something like that. I need to change them. Let's get a few. How long am I in? 25 minutes. Yeah, I've got another 5 or 10 minutes of questions. Some really different questions in the chat. Some really different conversations that people are wanting to have. So let's see. I'm going to sort them out soon. I'm not an expert when it comes to I'm not going to lie, but I will try and sort it out. God almighty, I'm trying to fucking scroll for a question that I feel like is one to answer right now. Would you take Triantis, who's on loan at Hibs? Big fan of him this season, plays the 6 role really well. Could help with the McGregor situation, give him a break now and then. Looks a good player. I am not going to lie though, I've not watched enough film to go, yeah, I think he should sign for Celtic. I would be basing it off of the 3 times we've played Hibs this season, the couple of Edinburgh derbies I've watched, and the 1 game I watched them play Rangers, which is just not enough for me to make an assumption as to whether or not I think he's good enough. People might go, oh, but what about Lennon Miller? You think Lennon Miller's good enough? I've watched Lennon Miller a lot more, and when I say a lot more, I don't mean as if I watch him every week, for God's sake. I'm not a scout at the end of the day, it's not my job. And it's different because he's a younger Scottish player as well. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about him, Paul, but he does look like a good player. I'll say that. You quit your job, Adam? Are you joking? Got any work going for the next week? I sadly don't. I can barely afford to pay myself. I've just booked up WrestleMania today for next year. So that's me skint. So I can barely afford to pay myself, let alone a member of staff. But Adam, best of luck getting a job. Get yourself to Tesco. Great place to be employed. I enjoyed my time at Tesco, not gonna lie. I reckon Kwon deserves a chance when he comes back from loan. Played well at Hibs and St Mirren. I don't know how he's been doing. I don't think he's been playing that much, has he? I feel like everything I see is he's not been playing that much for Hibs. So I don't think he'll play for Celtic next year, to be honest. Some recent players we've sold have regretted leaving. Hopefully some have learned their lesson. Well, look, listen, we've seen Jota come back, and not that I have a problem with it. I'm so glad he's back. Welcome back, son. You know, I'm so delighted to see him back. We're hearing this situation with Kyogo right now over at Rennes isn't exactly an ideal one for him. So I'm hoping that is a little bit of a, grass isn't always greener. Matt O'Reilly not enjoying the best of times at Brighton, granted most of that down to fitness issues more than anything else. But, we're hearing about Alistair Johnson and clubs looking at him. Hopefully Alistair Johnson looks at, these are all former teammates of his. Jota and the situation that happened there, who's now back. Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly, who he played with for over a year. Hopefully he's looking at these and going, I've got it good here at Celtic. And that's why Celtic need to start rewarding their players. And maybe the wage structure does need to change a little bit. Aye. Oh, you didn't enjoy Tesco? That's a shame. Maybe it was just my Tesco that was good because it was rotten. But, fair enough. Well, at least you've got a job lined up. There you go. That's the main thing. You've got a job lined up. My birthday is in October and I'm treating myself for a trip to Scotland to see the boys. Love that, Dundas. Love that. So I hope it flies in for you. Great stuff. Absolutely love it. Do you think that Forrest will leave in the summer or will he stay until the end of his contract, which is at the end of next season? He'll be here till the end of next season. He'll 100% be here till the end of next season. He's one of the very few players that we have that fits the European quota for club-trained players. So, I have no doubts that Forrest will be here till the end of next season. If Hatate offered us O'Reilly back in the summer, why would Hatate offer us it? Didn't realise Hatate was a businessman. I think you mean Brighton, don't you? Brighton offered us O'Reilly and 10 million for Hatate. Would you accept it? I mean, it's just not going to happen. But yes, maybe. I don't know. It's just not going to happen. There's not even a point in thinking about it. Celtic are a Champions League club. Ipswich are not a threat to us. Neither are Fulham. Don't sleep on Fulham, man. A lot of money at that club. A lot of money. And a good team, man. A good team. Don't be naive. That's all I'll say. Don't be naive. You're right. Obviously, you're right in the sense that they're nowhere near a club the size of Celtic. Shouldn't be. But the reality of what we live in is that Premier League clubs, doesn't matter if it's fucking Fulham, Man United or Liverpool, they all have pull power because of that. That's the world we live in now. So, aye.
Daniel, are you shaking with fear knowing that we're coming up against a manager next weekend with a genius tactical insight with such as you need to get it right in about it and you need to play with passion? Listen, I would do a better job at managing Rangers than Barry Ferguson. No, that's rude. That's rude. I did just as good a job. Kyogo's yesterday's news. Poor guy. He's away. $90 is outrageous, Pete. Absolutely outrageous. I can't believe that's how much they're charging. Money talks. I mean, that's it. Yet Jordan makes a good point. Players have left for worse than Fulham. Do not sleep on riches. I couldn't word it better myself. If Forrest isn't back for the end of the season, his record is gone. I know. I hope he comes in and gets a goal. I really do before hearing the end of the season. And we should let him take a penalty if he's playing when we get one. That's all I'll say. Let's see. Dembele was from Fulham. Yeah, he was from Fulham, but he was also like 17 or 18 when he joined and not in the Fulham team. It's a very different situation. And Fulham are in a very different place at the time. I don't even think that Sadiq and Tony can own them yet at that point in time. So they're a very different club now in a very different position. Helen asking, what do I think of the new top? I think it's pretty meh. It's like, it's okay. I wouldn't be paying £90 for it, I tell you that. And if somebody gave me £90 to buy it, I'd go and buy something else for the 90 quid. I don't think it's that nice, to be quite honest. If it goes down to £25, I might buy it. So I would urge you all to wait, because it'll probably drop in price soon. Right, I need some mods. I know, I need to get some. I need to make some of the members mods or something like that, you know. Right, anyway, on that note, probably will wrap it up because we're hitting the 32-minute mark and I want to make this a length for people to watch back in their own time. So thank you for tuning in for our weekly Q&A stream, guys. One of my favourite times of the week. We shall be back this time next week. I have got a schedule in front of me for this month, just so I don't stress over when I'm away to Belgium and London and stuff like that. So we'll be back doing one of these on the 10th of March, the day before my birthday. We'll be back on the 10th of March to do one of these Q&A streams. If you want an extra one of them, well, we'll be doing channel member streams all through the week. We'll have one tomorrow night for channel members where we sit and talk an absolute pile of nonsense, so you can sign up for that if you choose to. But of course, until next time, take care of yourselves. It's an absolute pleasure. God bless. Ta-ra.